Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on how to make some character art. Now, you don't have to be a great artist in order for this to work. I'm actually not that great at making artwork, but there are some tricks to make it a little bit easier. Over here, we have our first sprite. This is the default Scratch the Cat sprite that gets loaded in whenever we create a new project. I'm going to go ahead and delete him by clicking the trash can next to his icon there. And I'm going to create a new sprite by hovering over Choose a Sprite and selecting Paint. Now in here we have a lot of options and it may look a little scary at first, but don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. Now there are all kinds of tools over here that you can use. I personally don't ever use these shape tools unless I actually want to create a perfect shape. Characters sometimes aren't perfect shapes. And for me, I'm going to make what should I make? I'm going to make a ghost. How about that? I'll make a ghost character. So I'm going to just give it a black fill. And I can increase, I want my character to be kind of, simple looking. So I'm going to increase the brush size. Now, the reason why I use the brush is because it gives me more freedom to just kind of draw however I want the ghost to look. So I'm just going to start drawing. All right. Now, that does not look amazing, right? That is not the best looking ghost I've ever seen in my life. But it's a decent enough outline. You can come in here and you can fix it by kind of smoothing out these edges here. Now, some people get a lot of help from like I said, the shape tools here. But again, I just don't think they work well enough in Scratch for me to use them often. So I'm just going to kind of smooth out some of these, and this area down here just doesn't look good at all. So I'm just going to keep kind of drawing until it looks like I want it to, or at least get the outline of my character. Okay, that's good enough. This is just for demonstrations purposes. Now notice that whenever I do something in Scratch, in the designer, like let's say I use this brush, it tries to automatically smooth it out for me and fill in any of the areas that maybe I didn't do so well in, and it kind of smooths it out, right? So Scratch is trying to help you to make good artwork. All right, cool. Okay, looks good. Now it's time for my eraser. I'm going to go ahead and grab my eraser and just start erasing out the parts that I don't want. Okay. And you can increase the size or decrease the size of your eraser as you'd like. Sorry, that's the outline. I'm going to make my eraser much smaller so I can get the finer details in there. Okay. And just kind of smooth it out. Now I like to start with outlines, especially with simple characters, just because it makes it easier for me at least, to see what I'm going to be doing next. And it helps to kind of define the character's shape in the thing. Okay, so that's cool. It's kind of like a janky looking spooky outline for a ghost. Maybe this part down here is a little thin, so then I can come in here and just kind of thicken it out. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so my ghost needs some eyeballs. So very, very simple ghosty eyeballs would be like just a line here and a line there. And then I'm going to give him kind of a squiggly mouth. Not exactly the mouth I want. Remember, Control Z is your shortcut for undoing things. So I'm going to give him a much squigglier mouth. Okay, cool. Now my ghost here is basically see-through, but I want to actually give him a white fill so that he actually has so you can't see through him, right? Ghosts, traditionally you can see through them, right? Ghosts aren't real, but if they were, we'd be able to kind of see through them. But there'd be, usually you think about it, it's kind of like a, there we go. I'll fill them in. It's kind of like you can kind of see through it, but there's still something there, right? All right, so now I have my ghost. Now, the thing about my ghost is that he kind of looks like every other ghost on the planet. I want to give him some detail. I want to give him some accentuating detail. Plus, there's not a lot of color here. So I'm going to grab my brush, and I'm going to just give him... I haven't really played around with too much color yet. I'm going to give him a nice hat. So kind of off to the side here. And just like that. And then I'm going to give him a cool ghosty hat. Like that. All right, now the problem is my hat is now behind my ghost. Right, so how do we fix that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and grab... it's kind of blending into each other. So this was a good way to learn some new concept. Good way to learn a new way of doing things. I'm going to draw my hat out here off to the side here. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's now my ghost hat. And I'm going to grab my object. Now, if I bring it over here and put it on top of my ghost, notice that it kind of doesn't, it's hard to tell if it's on top or below. I'm going to fill it in with some brown. All right. And we'll go, actually, there we go. That's a good brown color. I'm going to fill it in with brown. I'm going to grab my hat and bring it over here. Now, if I place it on top of my ghost's head, you can see that it's right there where it needs to be. Now, let's say I wanted it behind my ghost. I can use these buttons here, forward, backward, front, or back, to push it back so it's behind my ghost, or bring it all the way to the front. I like it like that, where it is. And I think I might actually want to give it just a little like flower coming out of the top here. All right. Okay, so I have my little ghost. I'm going to give my flower some color. Give it some white or some yellow. All right, so now I have a little bit of color on my ghost. He looks kind of sad, actually. Maybe I'll make an animated movie about a sad ghost. Anyway, so now, like, honestly, you can tell I am not a great artist, but I've put something together that actually looks pretty good. But there are a couple things we want to do before we get out of here, just to make sure that our animations and stuff work really well. I'm going to select this whole thing first. Then I'm going to click Group. That's going to create this as a group by itself, meaning that it is now one big thing. Notice that if with the group, the center point of my object now is this eyeball. If I wanted to kind of change that, I can drag, hold on. Oh, I can't do that anymore. That was an older version. Okay, that's fine. Now I'll just know that the center point of my sprite is going to be right there on the eyeball. If I wanted to ungroup it and then select only this guy. Oh, hello. If I wanted to ungroup it, I could select maybe just the hat and move that over with the fill as well. Let's get the fill in there. Let's try to put these back where they go. Okay. I can group this together and then this together. And now my center is exactly where it's supposed to be. And this can come over here and get put back where he goes, bring it to the front. And now I have a character who is centered properly. And so whenever he rotates, it's going to rotate based on the ghost's body and not on the hat, right? Because the hat kind of pushes him off the center, pushes the center off a little bit. Anyway, you want to think about how your character is centered. Oh, I just uncentered it. You want to think about how your character is centered, right? We want the center of our character, not all of its accoutrements, to be part of that centering. Okay. I think that's about it. Play around with this, make whatever characters you think are going to be interesting for your stories that you're going to be telling me for the rest of this term. And when you're done, make sure you name. My ghost is going to be Harold the Dead. All right. Harold is a dead person. And this first costume, I'm going to name it Idle, because this is just what he looks like when he's standing there. Make sure that you give everything a name so that in the next project that we work on, you don't have to do that extra step. You can just work on the background, and then the name itself is totally going to be, it's already in there. So anyway, that's Harold. That was fun making him. I will see you guys next time.